What's up, everybody? Trinity here. Welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. So Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in full swing with 5 films and 6 streaming shows that include Black Widow, Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and the shows include WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight. And through all of these things, no matter whether you're one of its biggest supporters or if you're one of its biggest critics, Phase 4 seems to be sitting just a little bit different with everybody, according to what I've seen people discussing out there online. And I think it's sat a little bit different for me as well. And that's what I want to talk about today. Some of the reasons why I think that it is setting a different for a little bit of, I guess, the general population out there. Everybody kind of has their different feelings about it. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And also make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs down if you don't like it. It's okay. Make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell so you get all those notifications as well while you're there doing all that stuff. So let's start off with the easiest and most obvious thing why Phase 4 is sitting just a little bit different with audiences out there. The MCU! Oh, they're putting all those whammons in all the movies. They're leading all the movies. They're taking over for all the menses. There is certainly an undeniable element that they are bringing in a whole bunch of female characters. And largely, I don't really think that's a problem. I will say I think there are some issues that they have had in the way they've brought some of them in. We see Black Widow didn't get her own film until nearly 10 years in to this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. And she was actually introduced in the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? So it took them that long to even get her there. But then by the time you even start moving forward a little bit, I mean, obviously we had we had Wanda come in, we had other female characters out there. But the next prominent one that really got her own solo film was Captain Marvel. And this was one where, to me, this is really kind of a big thing, was they took and put this character, Carol Danvers, out there as Captain Marvel, when previously to that, they not only had Monica Rambeau before that, but there was even Marvel originally that was Captain Marvel. So, I mean, they went with the female version first instead of doing, you get it, even with She-Hulk they got now. They did Bruce Banner first, so hey. But that's kind of how it happened in the comics. And yeah, certainly the comics are the source material and they should be used, I would say, as the guide for what they're gonna do here. For me, I think it was kind of a big mistake with them doing that in the MCU, completely getting rid of Marvel, considering he's one of those deaths out there that was one of the permanent deaths in Marvel comics, and he was a huge character. And when he died, that was some really emotional stuff, man. When I read the death of Captain Marvel, I literally cried. I cried. I had tears in my eyes reading that book. It was so damn good. If you've never read The Death of Captain Marvel, make sure that you go check it out. I actually did a review of that book here on the channel as well. To me, there's things like that, because I mean, she could have been, they could have still brought in Carol Danvers and done all that same stuff in the first movie. And then you got Ms. Marvel coming in after that, which Ms. Marvel was originally Carol Danvers. And I kind of feel like they probably should have took that route as well. Then, you obviously, we've got other characters that are coming in and all that stuff. We got She-Hulk, and largely, I don't think there's any problem with them bringing in the female characters or anything like that. I do think sensitivity is so high these days. It is kind of the way they're doing it. Like I said, I feel like with Captain Marvel, they should have done the whole Marvel thing and then went from there. I know somebody's gonna get in the comments and be like, they did do the Marvel thing. Go read some comics, okay? And don't look, okay? I'm not saying that everything has to be exactly like the comics, but some of these things should definitely be, I guess a little more comic accurate when they're doing some of these things. Carol Danvers could have even became Captain Marvel in that same movie. All you had to do was spend maybe, the first 20 minutes of the movie kind of tossing a little more things in there to introduce Marvel, and it was like, that quick, that easy. I think that's the obvious low-hanging fruit, you know, the MCU. Obviously they are doing that with the characters, you know, even in Moon Knight, you know, they brought in whoever Layla was supposed to be. Was it the Scarab? Was it the Scarlet Scarab? Was that I don't know. I guess we'll assume so, that even though they didn't really say anything. They're obviously going to bring in new characters, and I think that's one thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where they're at now anyway, is they're kind of rapidly expanding the universe, which within all of this, so they've got female characters they can put in there and other characters that they're going to bring in as well, less obscure, or I mean more obscure characters and things like that that we're going to be seeing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe very soon. And they're probably not all going to be female, but they'll probably be doing some more of the female versions of the traditionally male characters, I'm sure. Let's go on to the next thing that I think is kind of going wrong here is one of the things for me is the films themselves. It seems like now a lot of them, they just have things happen in them and they're just kind of leading on to the next movie, to the next show, and that's really about it. It's kind of like I don't know, like there's just things happening where originally in the first 3 phases, like you had all these individual character movies that these movies served the character, and then there was just little tie-ins, you know, in there somewhere that went to the next movie or teased something else that's going to happen in a future movie. Now you see like they are doing a lot of these films where it seems like there's just things happening and not necessarily for the character. Like the easiest thing you could look at is like Black Widow, how they did that film. And it was largely just a movie that, while it was focused on Black Widow, it was really largely just a passing of the torch to Yelena Belova, who is becoming Black Widow, taking on that moniker now. But then you could take a look at a movie like The Eternals, where you had so many characters, and it's not even that there was so many characters to focus on that they had to they couldn't make a great coherent movie. Or anything like that. I think the film is okay for the most part. I don't hate the film. It's one of those films where there's a lot of things that happen in the movie, but it seems like it serves the larger MCU more so than it does itself. A bunch of things happen, and it's really only for the larger MCU, not the film and the characters in the film necessarily themselves. Like some things happen and they resolved a little bit of a situation, sure, but most of it was all kind of just, it seemed like it was doing more for the MCU as opposed to serving itself. And I feel that way about several of the movies that have come out. I mean, like, to me, that's one of the bigger things too, is all these films used to be single stories telling about this character and something that's going on, instead of just it being a launching pad to the next series, the next movie. And even Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness seemed a little bit that way as well, where it was more of something, these things happen, and sure, there was things that go on, conflict and all that, but it seemed like it served the purpose of the MCU more so than the character and development of the character of Doctor Strange himself. Though we did see him develop and change in the film. I'm not saying that it did nothing for him, but it seemed like it served the larger MCU overall. And I think that's something I've noticed more in these in the films they've done here in Phase 4, as well as the TV shows as well, like even Hawkeye. You know, we're not done with Hawkeye, Clint Barton, that we know of, but it was to introduce a couple of new characters. We got Echo, we know Kingpin's there now, we got Kate Bishop in there now, who's probably going to be Hawkeye in the future. They do also have to rapidly expand the MCU as well, so I get it. But I do think it's something that kind of affects it. I think they should use the shows more for that as opposed to the movies. But that's just, if you ask me, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Finally, I think the biggest reason that Phase 4 of the MCU isn't quite sitting the same with everybody is the writers that they have on board. Now, they are rapidly expanding the MCU. They've got all these shows coming out. Within this little amount of time, we've got Phase 4 that basically essentially just started last year, and we've already got 11 properties, 5 films, 6 shows, 11 things that have rapidly come out, and I don't feel that it's gonna slow down. So obviously they have to bring in new talent, they have to get new actors to fill these roles, they have to bring in new directors, they have to bring in new writers, and that is where it's going to be different for everybody. If you go look at Phase 1, 2, and 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you'll see that a bulk of those films, like go check out Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. They wrote a bulk of the films. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there was like, 8? That is quite a bit. Probably more than every single other writer team who did those. You know, you go look at the Iron Man films, who wrote those, who did those, the Thor films, and even you could take a look at like even well, they were the Captain America films. They actually did Thor: The Dark World as well. But you know, then you look at the Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, and all that stuff. You had different writers there. They did a bulk of that work, and now we're getting introduced to new writers. And I'll tell you, like so far, I haven't seen any of these writers like really prove themselves in telling something great. We got Jack Schaefer, who did WandaVision, and I think she did the original like screenplay they used for Black Widow as well. It was okay, like the stuff that she did, certainly better than the stuff that I've seen Michael Waldron do. And I know Michael Waldron's somebody out there, everybody's like, oh, Michael Waldron, he's so great. Like I just like it's not me. Like people talk about Rick and Morty, like don't care. I don't care. Something big as well. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, you could tell they had a love for these characters. Jack Schaefer, we don't know anything about her. Did she even read comics growing up? Does she have a love for the comics, for the characters? Does Michael Waldron have the love, the knowledge, just all of that for the characters? Malcolm Spellman, does he have the love for these characters, the comic books, the medium, all of that stuff that people like Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely did, that Kevin Feige does? Do they have that? Did they have that connection with the characters? I think that's something huge. I think these two, I think Jack Schaefer and Michael Waldron, I really don't feel that they do. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Feel free to beat me up down in the comments below. I don't think they have the same kind of love and passion for these characters that guys like Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely did. And no, don't somebody bring in Justin Theroux, okay? Don't even start with me, okay? To me, that's largely one of the things, and that's something that we see with a lot of stuff out there, is you want people who were passionate about these characters and everything before they were making the film. But I still feel even the actors should have some sort of connection to these characters. But I get, that's their job is going, I get that. But, and you could easily make the same argument for the writers, but I feel that no matter what, they should have a passion for these characters, a connection to these characters in a way that makes them want to play them. If I was going to be cast in a movie, like there's a bunch of characters that I would love to play in the MCU, like heroes and stuff like that. But you know what I would really rather be? One of the villains. I'd rather be one of the villains, but that's just if you ask me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like I said, whether you're somebody who is standing for the MCU, you like everything that's going on, or whether you're somebody who is one of its harshest critics, biggest cynics, whatever you are, it's phase 4 is definitely setting with different with everybody. But let me know down in the comments below what you think is different about phase 4, whether you're liking it, whether you're hating it, whether you're done after Avengers Endgame. I ain't watching no more. Is it the MCU now? Let me know down in the comments below. That's all I've got for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for being here on the 2nd Street Marvel. If you're not already, please make sure you subscribe. Click the little bell and all that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down if you don't. It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But while you're at it, make sure you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the 2nd Street Marvel. You all have a very good day, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.